Check them out online, silverleather.com. For more information, or just stop by and visit your local Purina dealer.
Right here on the ground for yourself. With its all-cigar perfect prep, Shoshi and FarmVet has what your equine needs to perform at their best. For yourself.
Vet.com. We'll be joining us. A couple things on that order of they are not joining us.
Away from Tipperary, Ireland. Spectacular course. Let's have a look at this course. They're going to start with the AIG vertical. That's fence number 1. From there on to fence number 2, and that's a nice oxer. Let's make that penny line from fence number 2 straight to fence number 3, and that has the Rubik's Cube standards. Now that's a 6-stride coming to fence number 3. We're going to see how that happens. Because fence number 3 has the white plank over top. Slightest touch, that will come down. After the Rubik's Cube, at fence number 3, left-hand turn in front of the Go Rentals VIP Pavilion. Fence number 4A and 4B, the first of 3 combinations, 3 doubles out there. Vertical to an oxer, 1 stride. Those yellow rails, and sometimes the lighter colors like that, a little harder to judge as well. Held 5 down to fence number 5. So 5 strides down to that meter 49 oxer at fence number 5, right in front of the Go Rentals VIP Pavilion. Fence number 6, and that is the skinny black vertical with the music note standard. Fence number 6. Forward 4, they're going to have to keep on that pace there to come down to fence number 7. That is the Purina Mills, and that is our signature fence at fence number 7. Right-hand turn to the middle of the 3 combinations, fence number 8A and 8B. And that's a 2-stride. That 2-stride is going to come up fairly quickly, that B element, as the oxer in and the vertical out. From there, right-hand turn, ride to win. And that is that signature fence, fence number 9, Liverpool underneath that. On to fence number 10, bending line, to the Seahorses at fence number 10. And then should be an 8-stride down to fence number 11, Pac-Man standards at fence number 11. Right-hand turn, the orange slices as the standards. That's the triple bar. And that is a huge, wide triple bar, 1 meter 90 in width. And that's a forward 5. They're going to have to keep that gallop off of that spread jump onto the third of the combinations, 13A and 13B. And that is where we have the card standards. Oxer in, walked a little bit tight on the 1, so we're going to see how that happens, because the forward 5 into that tight 1, that combination, fence number 13A and 13B. Look for that vertical to come down, but brilliant horse rider combinations we certainly do have. In the final fence, well, we go to those B standards, and that's the Beehive at fence number 14. And that is 1 meter 50 in height, 1 meter 70 in width, and the Liverpool down underneath that as well. And those rails, they could be a hard one, because they have been coming down quite a number of times just with that color. So 54 horse and rider combinations, 9 nations represented. Austria, Australia, France, Israel, New Zealand, Germany, Mexico, Canada, and of course the host nation of the United States. It's going to be a great competition. We're going to get down to that in just a couple minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, we draw your attention to the in-gate of the Grand Prix Arena, where our flag bearer, Tacey Southard, is entering the ring. Back for her 17th season, Tacey is riding Mystique, her 18-year-old fox-trotter mare. And it is my pleasure to welcome Jim Davison, renowned Coachella Valley singer and star of the Arabian Nights production at the annual Indio Date Festival. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Welcome, everybody. Mike Moran alongside Burt Much, bringing you the $1 million AIG Show Jumping Grand Prix from the Coachella Valley, California. And Burt, it is one giant field of horses, one giant course, and one giant beautiful day. The snow-capped mountains of San Jacinto over to the left, to the west, and to the right there are the mountains that lead you toward Arizona. Beautiful day in the desert.
Beautiful day and one of our largest fields we've ever seen for the Million here in Coachella. We have quite a star-studded field of young guns and veterans, Olympians, gold medalists, and winners of the past $1 million classes.
Alan Wade from Tipperary, Ireland is our course designer today. Mr. Tom Struzeri is at the head of the HITS organization, which is the largest producer of fine equestrian events across the United States. With their brand new facility starting later this season in the Chicago area. They also have Ocala, Florida, a circuit, and they'll be having $1 million event there. And then a $1 million series culminates in Saugerties, New York in September. And a beautiful day here. San Jacinto, and you can actually see the San Gregorio Mountains. So two big snow-capped mountains here in the desert on a day where the temperature is about 85, and there is a gentle breeze blowing.
A nice breeze today. We've had some hot days this past week, but really good weather today for show jumping. And here we go.
Here's our first to work now, riding out of New York City, New York, with lots of European experience over the past several seasons. A young rider, this is Lily Keenan for the Chancelnet Farm. Super Sox her mount today, an 11-year-old Hanoverian gelding. She was second placed in the $100,000 Nations Cup on the HIT circuit in Ocala, Florida earlier this year.
Yeah, Lily is one of our young guns for sure. She's really stepped up her game in the past 3 years. I'm looking to see for a really nice performance today because she should be prepped and ready for this, coming off of Wellington and being very well prepared.
Time allowed today over the course by Alan Wade is 83 seconds. Fences 1 through 14, 3 combinations. 2 are Oxer to vertical, 1 is vertical to Oxer. They're over the Rubik Cube at fence number 3. Turning to the first of those 3 combinations now.
This is a new combination we haven't seen in the circuit here this year with the African theme, and she had no trouble with it. It has a very dark panel underneath the A element of the combination. This should be a little bit of a stretchy line here for these horses, a careful skinny to a very wide Purina Oxer. Double combination toward the in gate. That's going to get very tight for some horses because it tends to draw them toward the home court, toward the stable. 6 stride to the oxer and has the front pole.
So number 10 is down. The big Pac-Man fence at 11. A triple bar here at 1.90 m wide into the Queens, Kings, and Aces combination.
Yeah, a little scope test there. The 5 stride walks just a touch long, and the triple bar makes the horse land a little quiet. That was a shame that was kind of a cheap rail.
It'll be a 4-fault score, and 78.807. The available time again is 83. So Super Sox and Lily Keenan from New York City, New York, 78.8 on the clock and 4 faults on the course.
I walked this course earlier, and that really walked to 7 strides, 7-7 across the diagonal there. She left a stride out and did the 6, and I think the horse just got a hair flat. Being kind of the sacrificial lamb, having to go first, that was her choice. Maybe some of the latter riders will start to change their mind as they see the course progress throughout the class.
Well, here is Mr. Show Jumping America, if you will. Over $12 million in prize money earned on his mounts. He's been a gold medal Olympian and a 2- or 3-time, I believe 3-time winner of the $1 million classes on the hit circuit. This is McLean Ward, and McLean is riding out of Brewster, New York on the Double H Farm H.H. Callis entry.
I believe this is a new horse for McLean. It was previously ridden by Danielle Toronto. I have not seen this horse with McLean, so this will be interesting to see. As you noticed, he let that horse take a look at that first double along the VIP section. So a lot of the riders are aware that that's a jump that could get a horse to look down at. And the first jump here, the AIG vertical, is no giveaway. It's a quite large vertical starting out.
H.H. Callis, a 10-year-old warm blood mare, again owned by the Double H Farm of Wellington, Florida.
Really ridden well the first line.
So the 78 seconds of our first rider on the 83-second time allowed makes it look somewhat comfortable. However, Lily Keenan and Super Sox were very prompt, very direct.
Now to the careful black skinny. A little scope test, but this horse looks like it has a super hind end. Very strong ride into the double and backed up really well. So McLean opted to add one there over Lily, and it seemed to work a little better for him.
Over the Pac-Man clear to this point, and around the turn now to number 12, the wide triple bar into the final combination.
Oh. Just looked like he came in a little strong and went to help that horse a little with his hand, and the horse resisted the connection to the mouth and got a little inverted and had that down behind.
Well, we're over the time allowed, 83 and fractions. He's over the time by .016. So that would be 4 jumping and 1 time. 1 time, so a total of 5 if that time stands.
Coming down to the line into the double, he comes in very strong, and as you can see, he takes that horse's mouth in the air, and he had a resistance where the horse stuck his head in the air and made the back invert, and the hind end just didn't finish.
Well, here's another superstar combination. This is Good Luck, owned by Adena Springs, Cian O'Connor, Olympic Irishman aboard. So we're seeing some of the cream of the field here to start us off. No clear rounds yet. A 4-faulter, a 5-faulter, and now an Irish Olympian in Cian O'Connor and Good Luck.
Cian's horse starting out looking just a bit distracted, cross-cantering the first jump. This is an extravagant horse. He tends to jump very high. He throws his front feet out in front of him, and the hind end soars in the air.
11-year-old Belgian-bred stallion, and look at that hind end.
That can't be easy to stay on.
We'll especially take notice of that when he gets to the triple bar.
Yes. As you can hear, you'll hear those riders talk to their horse a little through that double, because that's a very tight two-stride going toward the in gate. He does the 6-stride the same as Lily. It worked for him. Clear to the triple bar. Looks like his time is okay. He spends a lot of time in the air, this horse, so.
Bit of a rub coming into the final combination. Just fence number 14. He's well within the time allowed at this point, and the Irish
There's our
Olympian.
first clear. Pretty extravagant horse, I have to say.
78 and change on the time allowed, and probably one of the best hind ends you're going to see on a horse in Grand Prix competition.
That's
Irishman, Cian O'Connor, and good luck. The first to complete Alan Wade, the Irish course designer's course and clear.
Yeah, just a freaky hind end on that horse.
Here comes
Fun to
another
watch.
of the $1 million winners in Charlie Jane.
Once again, we notice that the riders are taking a peek at that first double down in the corner. It comes up early in the course, and it's a jump we have not seen here over the last month and a half of competition. A lot of these jumps that we're jumping today are new for the competition, and some of the horses may stare and study them just a little more than they would if they jumped these jumps on a daily basis.
This is Tullamoon, a 9-year-old Belgian mare. We just saw the Belgian stallion from Ireland. Maura Thatcher and Alex Jane, the owners from Elgin, Illinois. And Charlie Jane, one of the $1 million winners previously in hits competition. That sounded like it might have gone down.
It was a rub, but scoreboard saying that
scoreboard says no.
Says no. Charlie is a very tall rider, and this is not a very big horse, but that's nothing new to Charlie. Charlie likes small horses. A lot of the good horses he's had in his career have been very small, and Charlie's a good 6'3", maybe 4.
Yeah, at least. The number of tall riders in the field today that are well over 6 feet.
Clear through the double. He's trying to make up a little time and be handy here. Liverpool vertical, Liverpool on the backside. Tends to get the horse to jump at the jump just a touch.
Oh, got the Lily Keenan rail.
Yeah.
So Charlie also picks up a time penalty, 83 and change, 1-2-3, 83, 1-2-3. So he'll have a 5-fault score.
So time is starting to look like it may play a little factor here today. We've had 2 very experienced riders that have ridden over the time allowed. So as that happens throughout the class, these riders that are watching from the sideline are going to start to pick up on it. Here comes Charlie to the seahorse bubble jump, and it just looks like his horse just peeked down at the bubbles. There are these round bubbles on the ground right in front of that jump.
Here's another of our $1 million winners, twice a $1 million winner. This is all the way from Germany in Plau-Aussy, Andre Thiemer and Contendrix, a 13-year-old Holsteiner gelding.
Again, Andre, a very tall gentleman. A much bigger horse than Charlie was riding, so it's not as noticeable, but he is a very talented rider and has risen to the occasion multiple times here in the $1 million classes.
Andre won the very difficult Hamburg Derby several times as well in Germany, which is an accomplishment to win it once, but to win it multiple times is really something. One of the
Yes.
most difficult show jumping events.
You notice that he shortened his turn to that double because he's aware of the time factor. Definitely took a shorter route there. And in a bending line, a 90-degree bending line like that, there's so many variations to it. The number of strides could be different for every horse. Tight turn, triple bar. Scope test to the double.
One to go to join the Irishman. And it is a clear score and within the time allowed, 79 and change for Contendrix and two-time $1 million winner German Andre Thieme. So Germany and Ireland are now represented for the jump off.
Beautiful round by Andre. Measured out everything really well, kept himself under the time allowed, and he just shaved a little here and there compared to the first 3 or 4 horses. So that's what happens when you have to go early in a class. You don't really know what the time allowed is going to be. He had a little advantage to watch 2 or 3 riders before he went, and it worked out very well for him.
Here is La Carolus. This is an entry of the MRN Family Corporation out of Great Neck, New York, and ridden by Kentuckian Derek Braun. 2 or 3 times an award winner on the Ocala circuit, coming west to do the first of the millions here. Again, next week we'll be in Ocala, Florida for the Hits Million there.
You notice his turn much wider than Andre's. Had a little rub.
Clear to the treble clef here, but
And-
not clear over the treble clef.
No, just dropped the hind toe on it. Just a hair flat off the ground. Now he's going to try to make up a little time because he knows that a 4-fault round could be worth a check. Now he has to make up time here.
It looks fairly wide.
Yeah.
It's a 4-fault score, and he made it just within the time allowed at 82.019. 82.019, so just a 4-fault score for La Carolus. What?
Yeah, it's been going in and out just a touch.
Here is Tucado as we continue, owned by Carlos Perez and Jacoba Saib. Carlos Perez Bohm of Guadalajara, Colombia is the rider here.
I've seen this horse jumping here over the past few weeks. Very scopy horse. Again, another horse with a very good hind end.
Most all of his competitions have been in Sweden, according to our records. A 9-year-old Dutch gelding.
Using all the ring to get to this double.
Well,
the skinny comes down again.
Yeah, it's a sour note at the treble clef, no pun intended, but it is a difficult fence when you come off of that combination at 6A and B, or fence number 6.
Yeah, the skinny is always a difficult jump, and the black rails add in a factor to it. Also, it's harder for the horse and rider to focus on. And he decided to do the 6, which didn't work out well for him. I think he was a little late with his decision. And you see the horse had trouble getting to the back pole.
Probably not going to make the time allowed with a pair of rails, so you'll have an 8-fault score on the course, 2 on the clock, and 84, 636. We'll travel north next to Alberta, Canada for Dutch Amaretta. Fordville Farm Corporation entry out of Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
This is our first Canadian rider that we're going to see today. There's quite a few Canadians in the field today. They have been here most of the circuit.
This is a 12-year-old Zangerscheide mare, a competitor all across the continent and Canada, Grand Prix and in World Cup events. Brenda Riddell is aboard.
I think that's the first horse that's been caught by that new double. It just peeked down jumping in and ended up looking down a little bit on the way out and got hung up in the air and had trouble getting across that back rail. Horse has a unique style of the way it gets up into the air and it kind of just stops a little bit.
Might spell trouble at the triple bar. We'll see what happens with that -1.90 width. They need to ride forward to that.
Yeah, working on a 4-fault trip here, but looking like time might be a little issue.
Very lucky through that last combination. Here's fence number 14. We'll see what the clock says as she picks the rail off at fence number 14 as well.
Yeah.
Just sneaks under the time allowed.
I think that could have been in her mind a little bit, that as she made the turn to the triple bar, you have a chance to kind of peek at the clock. As a rider, you kind of walk the course and navigate where you think you can see the clock, so you know where you are. You watch a few riders, you get a midway number, and you hope to be on that or under it. Maybe that cost her the last pole there, thinking she was a little behind the time.
Guy Thomas, lifelong equestrian. His mother was a fabulous hunter and jumper rider. His father from New Zealand, a great jumper rider. And he's turned out to be just the same here. He's on Jonker Z. He rides for Emily Livermore of Woodside, California. It's Guy Thomas. He was one of the rookies of the year in the Pacific Coast.
Yeah, Guy and this horse are a very good combination. He's had this horse close to a year, just about a year. And he and the horse are becoming a good combination. Have won several Grand Prix over this past year.
He's a 15-year-old Zangerscheide stallion. 2 Grand Prix wins this season already. Quite the rodeo enthusiast as well, and the family also breeds racehorses.
Racehorses, and the guy also owns a few. Oh, there's a little deep into that double, coming in a little bit right to left, and I think that horse just stepped off left and just didn't have his balance correct. Guy also owns a few bucking bulls.
Bucking bulls, right.
Seems to be this line across the diagonal, that Liverpool to the Seahorse jump has just caught quite a few horses. I'm not quite sure what it is. The distance walk's very normal, but the horses seem to be getting just a little flat there. Another back pole of the B combination.
So a pair of rails, actually 3 rails for 81.378 and a dozen penalties for Young Z.
Not Guy's day today, but I know this combination will come back from that, and they always learn, and this is a very good horse rider combination. We'll see them in the winner's circle again.
Another one of the Olympic riders now. Shorapur is the mount and is owned by Shorapur LLC out of Antioch, Illinois. And Irish Olympian Kevin Babington of Gwinnett Valley, Pennsylvania is aboard.
Well, we saw Kevin here in November, right on this field, and was very successful with his horses. I believe he won the Grand Prix. He won 2 big classes here. He's had a very good run in South Florida this winter, in Wellington, Florida, and has made the trip out here from the East Coast to compete against the best of the West.
Winner of the $100,000 Nations Cup in Ocala. And this has to be not a big horse.
It's not a big horse. I've seen this horse jumping in Wellington this year. It's a real trier. And they seem to have a very, very, very good relationship going on. Good ride there. Kevin working the voice to the double. He's had a couple rubs. It's very well done, staying off the front pole of what seems to be the bogey jump of the day so far.
Three jumps away from what could be and is not going to be a clear score, with 13A coming down. So a 4-fault score for Shorapur and the Irish Olympian. 13A coming down, and the time on the course well within 78.274. That's the fastest 4-faulter right now.
Yeah, Kevin is very seasoned and knows how to stay under the time allowed. That was a shame. Yeah, it just looked like he rode the triple bar very strong, maybe landed a little shallow, and the stretchy one stride coming in over the deck of cards jump just caught that horse off guard. He cut down, as we would say, and just didn't clear the back pole with the front end. That was a shame. The horse jumped very well today.
We go back to Canada now for John Anderson out of Calgary, Alberta, on his jumper Terrific. And John is kind of the consummate horseman from Canada. He also produces a tremendous number of horse shows and his Rocky Mountain Series, and has been in the horse industry with his family for as long as I can remember, back when he and his brother and his twin sisters were very young in the Arizona circuit.
Yeah, John and his entire family trained and rode with my father as young children. Unfortunately, starting out with an early pole at the first jump, the AIG large vertical. That's the first horse that's really kind of looked at that jump today.
John is another one of the 6-foot-plus riders. He stands a good 6'4" with a rail down in the African combination. I think he's going to call it a day with that right now, and that it is. He gives a sign to the jury that he will voluntarily withdraw on Terrific, but there's lots more show jumping in the season here in the U.S. and at his own events outside of Calgary for John Anderson. This is the first of the Triple Crown of Show Jumping presentation from HITS Show Jumping. We're here in Southern California, as I mentioned at the opening, snow-capped mountains from San Jacinto and San Gregorio, the Coachella Valley Winter Circuit. We'll travel on to Ocala, Florida next for the $1 million event, then up to Saugerties, New York to put a cap on the Triple Crown in September of this year. Show jumping hits on the Hudson in September. Continuing now, here is Christar, an entry of Merle Gardner of Kamloops, British Columbia. Tammy Phillips of Calgary is aboard.
Yeah, this is a real interesting little horse. He's a fighter. He's got a lot of blood, a lot of spunk. Has jumped very well in several Grand Prix this season. I think this is a good test for this horse rider combination coming up in the ranks. But this is a very interesting horse with a lot of jump.
Winner of one of the Grand Prix on John Anderson's Anderson Ranch. The Coachella Valley Circuit here on the HITS program, one of the favorite places in the wintertime for the Western Canadians especially.
Really giving good effort to this horse on the early portions of this course. Got very steady in the 7, but jumped it well. She's kind of on that bubble mark here on her time allowed.
3 jumps to go, 3 efforts to join the international crowd.
Taking her time to the last.
The Canadian, the German,
Yes.
and now the Canadian is in there. So it's Ireland, Canada, and Germany right now with clear performances. As Christar is over the course without penalty, and Tammy Phillips of Calgary, Alberta aboard.
Yeah, this little horse has been jumping good every week that I've seen him here this winter. And I'm not surprised to see him jump a clear round today.
We'll go to the Midwest of the United States now, site of the 2017 World Cup for show jumping and dressage, Omaha, Nebraska. And here is Cianto, Karen Cudmore for Blair Cudmore, riding out of, I mentioned, Omaha, Nebraska. She's been a $100,000 winner on the HIT circuit in Ocala a season or so ago, and many victories on the Grand Prix circuit across the country, and one of the large breeders of sport horses, Blair Cudmore, the owner of Cianto.
Here's the case where we've seen a lot of very tall riders. Karen is not so tall, and this is a very big horse. So this is sometimes hard for her to control because of the size of this horse and his technique with his hind end.
If he doesn't hurry, I think we're looking at the clock.
Yeah.
Spends an awful lot of effort over the jumps, and she might be taking a bit of a circuitous route.
Yeah, just, he got a little fussy with his mouth and his face, as we would say, rider to rider, which just didn't let the hind end finish all the way through there to the A portion of the double combination, 8AB.
Won the Kansas City Grand Prix at the American Royal last year as well.
Hard rub on B, but it stayed up.
Good smacks, 4 faults going forward here, and she's going to make the time just barely an 82.751 with 8. Here's a young rider coming up next that excited the field when she won the Million here. Little Valley Farms entry of Hidden Hills, California. Ashley Bond is aboard Coachella LS. That's Coachella La Silla, bred in Mexico. And this is the horse that she won the $1 million event here several seasons ago.
This is a great horse rider combination. Ashley's just coming off of having her first child. Newborn at the moment, and this is her first real circuit back since having the baby, and was the winner of I believe 2 Grand Prix here so far this season. This is kind of an electric mare, and this is a great combination. Ashley's a very aggressive rider, and this horse loves her ride.
What's interesting about Ashley's family also is her father was a polo player, and in one of the older Grand Prix down the road here, when the hit circuit was in a different position in the Coachella Valley, there's the rail at Purina.
That was unlucky. Not quite sure. She's coming straight at us here in the booth, and it looked like maybe she just overrode that 4 a touch and got a hair underneath it. The mare tried to jump way high and couldn't quite get across the back pole.
Number 9 comes down as well. Looks like this mare's lost a little weight from the last time that she won the Million. So it won't be a repeat of this $1 million previous winner. Coming home 8 faults at this point. Within the time at 78.851 with 8.
Yeah, Ashley's always a very prompt rider. Time allowed is never really an issue with her. She jumps the skinny really well, and just looks like she just gets a little too close, and the mare jumped high and just did not finish across the back as well as she would have liked.
So we've yet to see an American horse and rider combination complete the Irish course. The Irishman is in there, Cian O'Connor, then the German Andre Thieme, and the Irishman, or rather the Canadian, Miss Phillips. Tammy Phillips in there as well. So, again, it's Ireland, Germany, and Canada riders. Here's an American rider now riding out of Burbank, California, in Sun Valley as well. Jenny McAllister for Legis Equine. This is Legis Touch the Sun. She's coming off of a victory in New Mexico at the Santa Fe Hippico.
Jenny's a very seasoned rider, has jumped the million multiple times, both here in Coachella and also in Ocala, Florida. She's been here the whole season, and I've really kind of been watching the fact that she hasn't shown her horses much, and she's been saving this horse for this Sunday afternoon. This is a very tall horse.
She tends to ride a little on the slow side, and we'll have to see how the clock treats her if she's able to manage a clear score.
rub at the skinny. Oh. And there again, that was a little almost like Guy Thomas's horse, where the left shoulder kept fading toward the in-gate. A little bit of a course designer trick to get a horse not to be super square. And I think it paid its price again on those two horses, Jonker Z and Touch the Sun here.
Pac-Man down for the first time at fence number 11 as she rounds the turn with 4 efforts remaining for Allegis Touch the Sun. So this will be an 8-fault score, and she just made the time in 82.351.
Here from Westlake Village, California, right up the USA, Russell Morgan aboard Dusty.
Here is Dusty. Russell Morgan is the owner and rider out of Westlake Village, California. This would be his first time in the $1 million competition. Dusty's a 9-year-old Dutch mare, successful in the junior amateur division, so it's quite a bit of a move up here for Mr. Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan's a very, very accomplished rider. He rides very forward, and I think this will be a good test for this horse and rider combination today, stepping up to the big leagues.
Little deep in that corner. Coming back to the African combination.
Ooh, makes a big stretch. Throws the front feet out, but clears it with the hind end.
Sour note there.
Yeah.
At the treble clef narrow vertical. Eight faults as he turns toward the triple bar. Having a second rail at the Liverpool at number 9. On the way home, and the Queen of Hearts takes its toll there. Up to a dozen penalties. It's going to be 16 and 81.432.
Yeah, that horse looked like it just kind of ran out of gas toward the end. And again, once again the triple bar line is just enough of a technical distance that that back pole of the A element of 13A becomes a stretch for some of these lesser seasoned horse and rider combinations. That's one of the more technical lines on the course.
Here's one of our gold medal winners, Will Simpson from the Olympic Games, Westlake Village, making his home there now. Aimwell Equestrian's the owner, Moore Park, California. La Mirage 16 is this mount for Will Simpson. This is a 9-year-old Oldenburg mare.
Yeah, this is a new horse for Will. Will and I are very good friends. We play a lot of golf together. We talk about horses all the time. I've seen this horse in a few schools in the mornings while we're out working early in the mornings, and it really has a lot of jump. This is probably the biggest track that it's going to see so far in its career. But
winner of a smaller Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And Will, of course, having the experience of the Olympic Games, but it goes way back. He's won many, many Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And as you say, young horse gets in trouble a little bit there, and he did just what you suggested that they might do, is look down into that.
Yeah, and that really caught that horse off the turn and ended up being a little slow and looky at A element, and Will knew immediately he wasn't making it to the back pole. So he went to the back seat to make sure horse and rider were safe on the landing side. It's too bad.
So he'll withdraw. However, he still owns the North American outdoor wall record at 7'9¼ on the Dutch stallion Jolly Good in 1985. And it stands to this day. Some 32 years since he set that record.
Yeah.
Here's Cameron coming up next now. Lindsay Archer out of Alamo, California, riding for the Rice Farms LLC of Woodside, California. Northern California rider. 11-year-old Swedish gelding. 4 times a money winner here in the circuit in the Grand Prix previous to today's Million.
Yeah, Lindsay is really come along in the last 2 years. She's gotten a lot of good mileage now at these top level classes, and this is for sure a horse with the scope and the carefulness to jump this course. I helped Lindsay a little bit a couple of years ago, and to watch her progression over the last 2 years has been very nice, and becoming a top competitor in the Grand Prix. Oh, and an early rub and a late rail. He kind of rubbed it on the way down, and she was a full stride away from the jump before it rolled out of the cup.
Back rail at number 2, front rail of 4A. So quickly to 8 faults for Cameron. The hit circuit here in Coachella Valley is probably the best training ground and proving ground for all of the young California riders, and especially those in Northern California who don't get to see the Grand Prix at this height, and certainly not for this much money.
For sure. And we all come down here to progress and get better, and it's just not Lindsay's day today. This horse has been really jumping well. I'm sure they were ready to peak today. That's the way this sport goes. If they could talk to us, it would be a lot easier.
So she comes up with 24 faults, but within the time, 81 and 6.67. Another young rider joining us next, Zazu Hoffman, riding for the Dogwood Hill LLC of Los Angeles. This is Samson 2. Samson 2 is owned by Dick Carvin, who is the leader of the Meadowgrove Farm. And she has been consistently coming along over the past several seasons. Just, I believe she's only in her sophomore season of show jumping at this height.
Yeah, and Zazu's had a very good season here. She's won some of the midweek Grand Prix. Has a nice string of horses that they've been bringing along and developing, and a top equitation rider and a top hunter rider, and now has moved into the Grand Prix ranks and has shown that she has the stuff.
Samson is a 13-year-old Swedish gelding. Won her first Grand Prix here in at the HITS program earlier in the season.
This horse has a little buck in him today. He gets excited, and she puts a little leg on him, and he gives a big buck. Zazu's a very smooth rider. And unfortunately, the skinny comes down again.
And it looks like it might be joining us as the busiest fences to come down. A couple places that are consistent, as you can see, if you've been following along with us, that are some serious trouble spots. This was one of them earlier, and now you see it again.
Yeah, it just seems to be that oxer in the middle is big enough, wide enough, and airy enough that the ride changes a little bit for each rider.
Carrying 8 faults to the final fence. She'll make the time without any problem at 80.832 and collect a total of 8.
Place with about 80.832 seconds, and just those 2 fences down on course. And 8 jumping faults. Great young rider there from Santa Monica. Zazu Hoffman aboard Sampson 2. So when you have 10th place, that means that Jim McAllister leads the son. They're going to have to move into 11th, and Brenda Riddell plus Amaretta in 12th. Here to ride from Woodside, Carl Cook. And of course, one back kicking off week, Coyote 24.
Carl Cook up next, riding out of Woodside, California for Signe Ostby on Calliu 24. He's coached by Eric Navette, and during his junior career, he was on fire in the Continental Young Riders, or the North American Young Riders as they became known. Won that several times in the gold medal, and has done very well as he's moved into the Grand Prix division in the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, Carl has a lovely string of horses and has been under the watchful eye of Eric Navet for the past 3 seasons, I believe. This is a super talented horse, a scope machine. And Carl and Eric have developed a lovely string of Grand Prix horses over the past few years.
Still looking for the first American combination to enter the realm of clear performers.
Gets a hard rub, almost came out of the cup and rolled back in. That might be enough to get him home.
And four efforts away from being the first American to go clear. Carl Cook, Calliu 24, now just 3 fences. Aye. Queen of Hearts takes another victim.
Yeah, it almost looked like he jumped that triple bar so well that he just let that horse get a little too deep to the end of the double. He jumped away from the front pole, but the back pole was a little too far to stretch to.
Well, he's the second fastest 4 falters unofficially.
Right there, you could see jumping into the double that got a little careful on the front rail, and the back rail was a little too far away.
Let's go to Lemitar, New Mexico for the next of our young riders. Shenowa McIlvaine riding for her father, Guy McIlvaine. This is Wall Street RC, or Rancho Corazon. And she has come up through the ranks of the junior, amateur, and now has been showing in the Grand Prix and done very well. Wall Street RC is a 10-year-old Swedish stallion, 3 times money earner in the Grand Prix divisions just here in Thermal.
Yeah, Shenowa spent last winter partially in the Florida circuit in Wellington, and you could tell that she got a lot of experience from the East Coast and seeing a group of different riders and different venues in Florida, and she's really an up-and-coming star in this sport. Comes from a great family. They're breeders. They are really horse enthusiasts. And this young lady is working very hard at this sport. Oh. And there was again the option of the 6 or the 7. And that horse kind of drifted to the left a little bit as it left the ground, made that jump a little wider than it needed to be. It cost her there because she was looking very, very solid. Ride to the double. And just kind of overrode the last jump there a little bit.
Over the course in 8 faults and 80.415. 80.415 with 8 faults.
see 80.415 seconds. A fault. Well, they get a piece of the pie right now. They're moving a set into 11th place. That's going to push Zazu Hoffman now to 12th. The first two rides for Zazu.
Another of the successful riders on the hit circuit throughout, Mandy Porter joins us from Encinitas, California for the Coral Reef Ranch of Rancho Santa Fe on Coral Reef Follow Me Too.
Rancho Santa Fe, Coral Reef, Follow Me Too.
Yeah, Mandy is just a beautiful rider, a technician. She has beautiful position and style. Watch her leg position, watch her hands. She's one of the smoothest riders in the Grand Prix circuit.
Very handsome horse, 12-year-old Westphalian stallion, a winner on the circuit already. And he looks as he's certainly pretty enough to be a hunter, but obviously talented enough to do the jumper division. $100,000 winner in the Del Mar National among the rides that she's had. Was very successful with the Barbara Ellison's horses. Very typey, beautiful color.
Really pretty horse.
Mandy originally came out of Alamo, California. That's from the East Bay portion of San Francisco. Rode with Butch Thomas as a youngster. Went to Europe after that and rode consistently in Europe, a lot in the French and Italian Grand Prix. Back to the United States with all that knowledge.
Oh,
Unfortunately, the green rails are down there at fence number 10.
very quick four.
Just the one, one rail in 76.863, the fastest four falter.
There's a little experience for you. You know, Mandy had a good round going, and knew once she had the pole down, she's riding a fairly quick horse across the ground. You know, and again, this line is just becoming a difficult thing. She did the 7. And, you know, the horse just got flat. I don't know whether it's the shadow or what it may look like coming at it, because as the sun gets lower in the day, the shadows get a little longer behind the jumps, and maybe the horses are having a little depth perception issue with that jump.
We go back to Northern California for Peter Pechenig. And Peter is the owner and rider for Color Your Life, riding out of Murrieta, California.
Peter, another one of our taller riders, and this is a very tall horse also.
10-year-old Holsteiner mare.
Looks like jump 2 came down. Had a little front and back rub. And that's a hard way to start out. Puts a little pressure on the rest of your ride. Now he knows that he has to, you know, pick it up with the pace and also still try to leave the jumps up.
The money distribution goes well down in the standings. I mean, I think we're paying to 20 spots, so a 4-fault score at this point is still a wonderful paycheck.
Yeah. Oh, has some problem there. Horse got distracted through that turn, and the wheels fell off. That's very difficult to recover from a situation like that, and one small bobble led to another.
Well, that's the third that had to withdraw for problems that were too great to overcome here in the initial round. So Color Your Life will take no score. Carlton Cafe up next. Jill Prieto, again from Northern California, Petaluma area, the arm wrestling capital of the world. And Freestyling Farms LLC, Carlton Cafe. Jill Pareto has been in the show jumping and pony arena since she was a little girl.
Yeah, Jill's coming back from a broken jaw here this season. She had a fall early on here, first half of the Coachella Desert Circuit, and didn't wire her mouth shut, but was very difficult for her to eat. And I saw her yesterday for the first time in a couple weeks, and she dropped 15 pounds. So we're going to see, you know, how she handles the heat and the stamina after, you know, coming back from a broken jaw and losing 15 pounds just through the fact that she, you know, could only eat certain liquids and foods.
Carlton Cafe is an 11-year-old Irish mare. At one time, she and her sister had quite the pony string here in Southern California.
Looked like a hard rub at the plank, and it did come down.
That fence, almost the Rubik Cube, has, depending on your vantage point, has a plank straight across on the top. And then the Rubik Cube gives it kind of a eerie look to it, so it's a little bit of an illusion. And a late note played at the treble clef comes down. So we're quickly up to 8 faults for Carlton Cafe.
As you see, as the class progresses, this line from 9, 10 to 11 is being done in several different strides for each rider and horse combination. And that's what you have to do, is spend enough time in the saddle to know what is the best way for your horse to leave the jumps up. Unfortunately, I think horse got a little tired and just got a little flat toward the end of that track.
Total of 16 floor rails come down for Carlton Cafe and Jill Prieto.
So right now we're going to take just a little bit of a break. Make sure this footing is absolutely perfect as always for the second half of the AIG $1 million Grand Prix.
Dave's out in the ring, checking his camera, see if it got broken. Surprising? Not really.
When I walked that line, I didn't think it was going to ride that difficult or that option.
This one like
Yeah,
this?
yeah, because it's pretty.
Well, like you said, I mean, that rail now is, the back rail is putting a shadow probably 4 or 5 feet past the jump. I don't know how hard they're going to be looking at that, but they are looking a little bit into the sun coming around the turn. And the water, I don't know how much water's in that water and if it's doing anything different. I think they were more afraid of the time early on. Now I think they figured the time out, and certainly the track. But they should have known that going in, that he wasn't going to give the time away. Okay,
Talk to that
that's the
booth.
guy over there. You didn't pay for sound, did you, sir? Yeah, that's just too bad. How much you pay for your ticket?
Still.
You take one of these elderly people to step on a wire, trip, fall down, get caught under the rail, and then they're going to learn about security with the general public. Maybe. Okay, Jamie Barge, Lubo. What's Jamie done for us lately? Nothing. We only have 27 or so more.